Even when Mark and I were running EAA, Energetic Alignment Academy was our first business. And I was like, I want to go to this AI coach box thing. And he's like, gee, you got to stay focused on this business. You can't do both. I'm so glad I don't have a business partner anymore telling me what to do. That was probably good. Like, instead of replacing coaches, you can take your IP, your intellectual property, train AI with it, and then your clients can actually chat with that and get work through, especially if you're a business coach. You don't know who your niche is? Here's how I help you find your niche, but I'm going to train AI on it, and then it's going to interactively work with you, and then boom, you've made a decision, move on. Instead of watch the module by yourself. Hopefully you'll make up your mind and start, taking action in your business. And I will also just state, not that anybody asked, but AI terrifies me. I have no idea what we're in for. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I could go down the whole doom and gloom. We're all fucked. Us humans, we cooked, man. We cooked. I could totally do that. But, again, just like my son, what's the point? This is what I have to work with today. That's what I'm going to worry about.
Another great conversation with the complete opposite of last week's episode where we were talking emotional intelligence. This time we're talking artificial intelligence and ways in which to use it to your advantage in your business. And the person that I'm talking with is Gabriel Omatt. She's an entrepreneur. She's a multifaceted being, as she calls herself. Maybe I said less of, maybe it's multifaceted human being. But anywho, she's the greatest. She's so fun, so much fun. This conversation was so much fun, and I gained an accountability partner from it too. So, hope you enjoy. But let's just go straight into there. Tell me, or whoever else is gonna watch and listen to this, who you are. But no, because that's not the good question. I know every time somebody asks me, how are you, or who are you, or what do you do, never know what to answer that question, how to answer that question, because it's just such a generalized one. But for the lack of other terms,
right?
Who you are, as in maybe your name and your occupation in the world, I guess. Let's just start.
Well, I just wrote an about me page, so I'm ready for this.
Perfect.
And the very first line in that about me page was, "Hi, I'm Gabriel Omatt, a multifaceted human being just like you," because I can't pick one thing.
Yes, I fucking love that. I love that.
Yes, I'm a mom, a wife. I've got 3 grown children, 3 grandchildren. I've worked in transportation most of my life, so 28, 30 years now. And I'm also, I don't even know what title to put on myself anymore as far as my entrepreneurial pursuits. But in November of 2021, I cut the golden handcuffs really seriously, this job. And yes, I had regrets later. Let's just put that. But hey, you don't know until you try. Sometimes you have to just go all in and bet on yourself. But it was amazing, and it worked out so well until it didn't. And so that was 2021. So then in 2024 is when things just started to really shift. The market shifted. I had a business partner. We had built our business to 7 figures. We had a team of 7 people helping us, part-timers, but contractors. And these were all people we cared and loved so much because they all came up through our program. And when the market shifted, we really realized that this wasn't working anymore. We had to make some hard decisions. So we ended up going our separate ways. I kind of closed that business down. Took everything I learned, licked my wounds for quite some time, felt like a complete failure. What the fuck are we allowed to curse on here?
Yeah. Oh
my God. This is your podcast, so I can't imagine.
You know who you're talking to? I swear, there's no tomorrow. It's swearing is my middle name. Go ahead.
That's okay. I was I know Gigs, uses it freely. I wasn't sure how you do in the podcast. So anyway, I was what the fuck did I do? Thinking that nice cushy job sounded really good about now. So in any case, it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do, but AI I've always just been super fascinated with ever since it came out. So I had this little vision of this, even when Mark and I were running EAA, Energetic Alignment Academy was our first business. And I was like, I want to go to this AI coach box thing. And he's like, gee, you got to stay focused on this business. You can't do both. I'm so glad I don't have a business partner anymore telling me what to do.
Yeah.
That was probably good advice. So anyway, that was on the back burner. And after everything kind of went sideways, I decided, okay, now I really get to do this. And now it's more relevant more than ever. So I have since rebuilt, and now I run a business with just me and my AI team. My
Oh,
AI is
wow.
my business partner at this point, and I have a much better business model that feels very stress free, light, no more big high ticket launches anymore. I just have a community in school. It's great. I did end up going back to work recently. And to me, at first, I really like made that mean a lot of things about myself, about the failure. Okay, this didn't work. I totally epically failed at this. And now I'm right back where I started, but even worse, because I cut that pension and all the things I let go of. However, I've since reframed that for myself to be like, I learned so much through that experience. And now I got a new job that pays me more than the old job did. And it allows me to really enjoy my business on the side right now that I'm
Right,
doing
right.
because it's a low delivery model. And now I just kind of get to do what I would be nerding out and doing anyway and not have to feel like it's, I
Pressure.
have to do this to make money type of a thing. Because
Mm-hmm,
that can
mm-hmm.
really like thwart your progress. I feel like when you get stuck into that scarcity mode.
100%. Like I cannot even, because you said, and like as you're describing what you went through and the steps, like leaving a job, starting your own business, doing that, I didn't go into that much depth whenever I left whatever normal life I had in here and wanted to start my own thing. And the idea of going back to a normal job was like the big no. But then
Right.
just like you're describing now, I have noticed what it does to my nervous system, because I think especially in the spiritual community
Hmm.
that this world has gained too much now. It's got too much energy. It's like religion now. Spirituality, more or less religion. It's like there's such a stigma of you gotta do something else that's not normal. You
Hmm.
gotta make whatever you're learning and whatever you're figuring out about yourself, you gotta make that into a business. That seems to be the main theme in a lot of areas. So going back to a normal job and thinking, have I failed? Have I done this wrong? Should I have tried harder? It's like, no, my nervous system has literally had to settle down, had to,
Yeah,
because there's not that pressure that you're describing of I gotta make this work because I need the money from it. So there is none
exactly.
of that. So then I can, like, okay, I'm doing a podcast now and I've left breathwork on the side completely. But at the same time, I don't feel like the pressure of this doing anything because this is for free anyway. Like, no, it's going on YouTube. Everybody that watches it does whatever. And I'm
Hmm.
not selling anything else, or whatever. But it's like I can enjoy it more, even like
Yes,
not doing the breath work, let's say, because I don't have to have that pressure added of I gotta put my breath work out and people need to find me and all of that. No, I can do it for fun. So
absolutely. I totally get that. I think we're saying the exact same thing, aren't we?
yeah,
We're like,
yeah, yeah,
yes, you can do both. And the
yes,
fact that you're doing this podcast is part of your creative freedom that
yes,
you but you can actually enjoy it because it's not like if this podcast doesn't hit 1 million views, I can't pay the friggin' rent, you
yeah,
know?
exactly. It doesn't have that added.
Yeah.
So okay. Can you describe a little bit about your? I don't even know where to go, to be honest, because I wanted, when you started talking about the AI bot, I wanted to go on there, but then I want to know a little bit about what you did with Mark.
Mhm.
That part of business. What were you guys doing at the time? What exactly were you teaching people? Let's say.
Yeah, so in that business, the Energetic Alignment Academy, it was really geared to help spiritual entrepreneurs, so breathwork practitioners, astrologists, Reiki healers, like our kind of people, right?
Right,
That do
right.
have these gifts and they do love it and there is a market for it. So to help them kind of grow their businesses. And because we attracted a certain type of client, we really created an incredible community. So at one point there was over 100, people in this community, and they were all very special because like we were like, "Oh, you feel this is a real world, the normal world think you're weird? You're not weird here because we're all friggin' weird. So come join us, raise your freak flag, be who you are." And it was just amazing. And so, it just grew over time and we taught people how to really, all the things that marketing teaches you in business school, like how to get clear in your message, who are you talking to? It's really hard to kind of rein those people in because they want to help every person on the planet. And then there's a lot of limiting money beliefs in that
Oh
type
yeah,
of group. Because if they're making money, then they're taking something from somebody else. That's kind of the mentality. And so getting through a lot of those money mindset blocks, but really teaching them a real strategy that got them in front of people, doing like live workshops, which was our model. And
Mm-hmm.
it gives people an opportunity to experience you for real, see what you're about, and then you build enough trust through that process to invite them into whatever it is that you can help them take this further. And we were able to use like an Eventbrite strategy to really replace like $2,000 to $3,000 worth of ad spend. That's what we were paying to get the same amount of people registering for our workshop, that we were able to get our community members on Eventbrite. So that helped a lot of them grow their businesses. And that's the way it worked. But we were spending, that's how we started too. But then, of course, once we made money, we started pumping into Facebook ads too to help bring more people into the workshop. So when it was working great, I think it was like a 3-day workshop. The client attraction workshop is the same one. We did it for like 30 months, every single month. We got so sick of doing that workshop. I tell you. But yeah. So anyway, we would spend, anywhere depending, 8 minimum up to probably $12,000 a month on ad spend to get people to come to this. But the price point on the other end was 5,500 to 6,500, depending on whether you're doing payment plans. So as long as we got, at least 5 people signing up at this, it was a very profitable business model. Sometimes we might have 4, but when business was good, it was typically like 10 on average, sometimes 12, sometimes 8 of people signing up for this. And then all of a sudden, when that stops working and you are spending $10,000 a month in ad spend and you are paying a team of 7, but you got 3 people sign up and 2 of them were payment plans on that last launch, and then that happens again the next month, you quickly start to be like, oh, this isn't going to pencil out, and we have to make some really hard calls. But it was really amazing though while we were doing it, and there was a lot of lifelong friendships that were made there, so 0 regrets. It was an amazing experience, and I wish we could have kept it going, and we tried probably longer than we should have. But
So how did that transition to this point now? How long did it take for you guys to be like, okay, this is enough. We're just gonna do our own thing now, or let this go? How long did it
yeah,
take you?
I would say we probably tried to make it work about 6 months, and it
Mm-hmm.
just wasn't working. And then I noticed too, like the pressure of that, because at that time it was both of our only income.
Mm.
And I think that Mark and I became less aligned in like our vision of what we wanted to do, and kind of, because we started, you kind of outgrow what you built. Teaching that same thing, like I said, that same goddamn workshop for 30 months. Like I
Yeah.
want to go to that next level. And then yeah, we just started to outgrow it. And then we felt a little less aligned where we wanted to go. And we had always told each other from the beginning, because we are about alignment. That was the name of our company, Energetic Alignment Academy. That
Yeah.
at any time, if one of us did not feel like this was for them anymore, then, nothing personal, but we need to be allowed that freedom to pull off.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were both kind of feeling like he was wanting to go down the more masculine energy route of, I don't know if that's what you call it, kind of like the manosphere.
Mm-hmm.
He was wanting to go more that direction, and be sort of contrarian to it. I'm not saying that he was turning into a Joe Rogan or something, but he was wanting to go down that way. And I, obviously that's not for me. So we were just feeling a little less aligned. And then we both kind of wanted to go out on our own and kind of be able, because when you have to get the sign off on everything you do in your business from somebody else, there's a part of you that misses that independence. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was really proud of myself that I worked really well with a business partner for a few years, because I'm like, nobody tells G what to do. Okay. Like since birth. So I learned a lot through that, but it's nice to not have to report to anyone now.
So then, what were you doing for a while? How long did it take you until you thought, oh, I'm gonna do this now? Or actually, I think you mentioned that you were kind of having an eye on AI anyway. How long did it
Yes.
take you to?
So then it was just like, okay, what does this look like? And how do I turn this into a business, And so I did a couple of different things. I worked one-on-one with some clients for a while, and had still working with people one-on-one. So that was nice. That helped supplement my income. And then I started a school community. The first one, my vision, I did a launch, the thing where you just launch something. And you're like, I'm just going to launch it. I don't know if anybody's going to buy it or not. Well, 2 people did. So I had a school community with 2 people that bought it.
Wow.
But it was like a higher ticket. I think it was like a $2,000 program or something. So we
Mhm.
completed that. And then I created Future Proof, what I have now. And it started as a free community for the first 50. And then I slowly just kind of increased the price. And it's still very affordable. I still don't have a higher ticket thing I'm selling people into right now. Not to say that I won't ever, but right now I'm just enjoying the freedom that comes with the low ticket membership model. And because I can just do what I would normally do. Like right now, literally, if you look at my other screen, Claude is in WordPress building a website for me.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
I know. And I get to like do this and then teach other people how they can do it. And that's what I enjoy doing. I just nerd out on it. So, yeah. So then,
So
it's just slowly grown.
where is this coming from? Because you're saying you're nerding out. You said it a couple of times now. You nerd out on this. Where is this starting from? Where were
I
you
think
little and had a nerd streak forever?
Well, see, yeah, normally no, like school, that kind of thing. I feel like curiosity of fascinating things. So the same reason I'm into spirituality and like wanted to learn all about, breath work and Joe Dispenza's work is fascinating because for me, I've got to have some logic with it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
faith, I was raised very agnostically, actually atheist. My mom's a thorough true atheist. So I was never raised around religion. And so faith was something that you had to see to believe type of a thing. But
Mm-hmm.
I remember thinking when I was young, like, how do you know, mom? Like, you don't know that there's nothing. You don't know that there is something. How do we know anything? We literally don't. Unless you've died, literally, and can come back and tell me about it. We don't know what the hell's going on. And I remember thinking that even when I was really young. So I was really fascinated about learning about myself and the universe and spirituality. And I feel like AI is just so fascinating to me in that same kind of way that that's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
I nerd out on it.
It's the next logical step or the next aligned step. Okay, okay, okay. You mentioned little bits about your childhood or when you were younger and that. Can you share a little bit about growing up? Because you mentioned
Sure.
your mom being atheist, and then I'm really also curious how you started on the spiritual. I mean, you said about the physical part. Is that when you started your spiritual journey as well? Is that what
Yeah, I
kickstarted
could
that
tell
part?
you exactly the
Okay.
time that happened. Do you want me to do that or the
Let's go at the beginning.
just a
Go at the
little bit? Okay,
beginning.
just a very quick. Back when I was 2, we're not going to go that far, but just in a nutshell, I grew up in Juneau, Alaska. I was a hellion. My mom was a single mom, and she did the best she could. But she was not emotionally equipped to be there as far
Mm.
as like, emotionally be there. But I definitely had a roof over my head and I was taken care of. And I remember one of her favorite sayings that stick with me and that I think shaped a lot of who I am today is you can find sympathy between shit and syphilis in the dictionary. Anytime that is like literally zero sympathy for me.
That is the best. That's the best.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's very, what's the original and
Yeah,
creative.
not
That's
very
so good.
empathetic, but pretty
Wow.
clever. Yeah, so that was my mom growing up. But anyway, yeah, so I obviously, I'm in Juneau. There's nothing to do there, so I smoked a lot of weed. I did a lot of partying. I did a lot of skipping school. I went to a couple treatment centers, and then spent my 16th birthday in juvie. Dropped out of high school. Then I got pregnant at 17. So my first daughter was born 2 weeks after I turned 18, and I think that's literally what kind of turned me around is I had this life to care for. So who knows where I'd like to think I probably wouldn't be on the streets today regardless, but my 37-year-old, the one that's turning 37 tomorrow, she really just changed it for me because then I had this life. So that's sort of like the background. And then I, went on to work in corporate and do all the things, have a couple more kids. So like you said, the 40 was the decade for me. And that's also when I found spirituality. And I think, yes, that first part, because I got into being a beach body coach after I changed my body with Shaun T and stuff. And from there, they teach you all that personal development stuff. So that's when I really read my first personal development book. I think it was Darren Hardy. Um,
Mm.
and I have a neighbor across the street, Christina, and we're still best friends. But at the time, we're friends, maybe not best friends, but around that same time, she's actually the one that turned me on to Beachbody, because all of a sudden this girl dropped like 20 pounds. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm going to do that. And it was that. So I did it. So anyway, there was something about her. We were just talking about you and how you exude this joy around you and people are just attracted to that. She was kind
Yeah.
of like that. And I'm like,
Hmm.
why is she so happy all the time? Like, what is she, it's like, what are you
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
doing over there? And she turned me on to a book called a book by Abraham Hicks.
Oh,
So,
wow. Straight in
Ask and
there.
It Is Given. Is that the one? Ask and
Yeah,
It
yeah,
Is
yeah,
Given.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So she turned me onto that book. That was my very first introduction into spirituality, is this woman channeling beings that are talking to us. And I friggin' loved it. So from then on, I was just, I can't remember how I came across Dr. Joe and all that. I think somebody else, oh yeah, um, another person in my life that was meant to show up at the time that they did introduce me to that book. And so
Mm,
as soon as I learned about that stuff, I felt like it answered that question of mine. Like, there is something. I don't know
mm,
what it is, but I do
mm.
believe that there is something that has this intelligence. And I would love to believe that it supports us in everything we do instead of not supporting us in everything we do. So that's what I'm going to choose to believe.
It's so funny because in my head, like out of all the people that I could have started with, straight into Abraham Hicks. I think Abraham Hicks is such an acquired taste, let's call
Right.
it,
I know.
because it's so funny. I'm saying this like earlier today. I was thinking as I was listening to the morning rampage that they do, I was thinking this could be so easily spiritual bypassing,
Yeah.
like all the things that they talk about sometimes, like don't look into this, don't think about the past, don't tell your friends about it, don't speak about it, just think and follow this and blah blah blah. And in my head, it's so good. A lot of it is so bloody good, but a lot of it, if you don't know what to do with it and you don't have other tools, you can easily just forget about all your humanness and then spiritual bypass. So this
Yeah.
lady, this go on, you want to say something?
No, I'm just agreeing. Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's a
yeah.
whole nother thing.
So s- you discovered, you said Joe Dispenza. Was that
Hmm.
the retreat that you went where we met? Was that the first time you ever went, or?
That was the only time I've ever gone to the
Oh wow.
advanced retreat. I did
Yeah.
when he was still doing the 3 days. I had done a three
Yeah.
day before that. But yeah, and I would love to go back because
Oh
I
my God.
remember leaving that place and obviously,
Yeah.
but leaving that place. And I remember being at the airport in Florida, and I got there so early that like they couldn't even take my luggage yet, and I couldn't really go anywhere or do anything. So I was just sitting there with my feet on my suitcase, and I'm watching these people go to check in that just had the same experience I did. They're too early, and they were pissed, man. They were just yelling and bitching. And I was just thinking, like, wow, people are so angry. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. What
and
is it?
it's like that veil just is
Mm,
removed after one of those. And
yeah.
same with
What?
M's retreats. I've gone to M's breathwork retreats, and breathwork was another thing that M really turned me on to. And you just strip all that away, and you see what really matters. I feel like with those, but I could use a refresh. I need one in my
So,
life.
so what is that for you, by the way? Because you see you said what it really matters. What does that look like for you?
What?
What
Sorry.
does all that really matters looks like for
Mm.
you?
I think for me, it's the stories that I was telling myself that I
Mm,
took as my truth, but they're just stories. So at the
mm,
time I was really struggling with my son. He's been my teacher. I was my mother's teacher. He is my teacher. Um, and really worried about him because he was just kind of spiraling, seemed like he was really going downhill. I was worried about his mental health, like taking very risky behaviors, those kinds of things. And heartbreaking because he's just my baby, the youngest and the only boy. And when I went to that was one thing that appeared for me, was that I was making this as if he was already living on the streets, already in jail, already dead by suicide. Like, I mean, he might as well have been, the way that I was telling the story to myself.
Yeah.
instead of like he's got his own path that he's figuring out, and he's got a mom who is here for it, who loves him unconditionally. He's never going to be without that kind of support, a father that does as well. Just the story changes when you pull back the lens and you get rid of all the bullshit, all the noise that your brain tells you. That's what it was like for me. I'd love to know what your experience is like when you go to a Dr. Joe retreat or something like that.
I mean, I've only been at two, to be honest, and they were both in the
Okay.
same year. One of them, the second one was the one where I met you, and the first one was in London, same year.
Okay.
It's fascinating to me that you mentioned now about your son, because one of my colleagues at work, her kids, she's 50, she's going to be 51 this year. So her kids are all, she's got two boys and teenagers, and she's got the same kind of concerns like you were just describing, of they might want to get a job or go to university or do something. They don't have any motivation. They don't want to get out of bed. They want to get a job. They think the world, the way it's panned out, is really stupid. Nobody wants to
Right.
follow that plan. And in my head, like many times I wonder, what would I tell? Because they all know, by the way, where I work in my normal job, my day job.
Uh-huh.
they I am the same person. Like I am not, and this is one of the things that I really like about the path that I'm following right now, that I've filled in the gap between who I was becoming and who I was being, and not being the same everywhere, basically. I just hit my microphone. Maybe you heard that, maybe not. Anywho, just gently sitting here. And many times I hear her talk about these things and share about them, and I'm like, I'm wondering what would I do, if I was in that situation. And now, because I'm navigating a different kind of story with my kids, of they all live with their dad. They still live with their dad. I I don't know how much you know of my story, because there's this fucking stories that we tell ourselves.
I only know little bits and pieces, and I would love to hear it if you want
Here
to
we
talk
go.
about it. Because
I'm
when we
here.
first met, you had little kids running around everywhere, crawling all over
Yes.
you, it seemed like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I knew that you moved, and I knew that they went to live with their dad, but I didn't
Yeah.
know like what's happened since or why or any of that. So as much as you want to
So they're
share, I'd be great.
still cool. They're still with their
Mhm.
dad. They still live with their dad. I went, and you probably know I lived a couple of months in the States, and in my
Yeah.
head I was trying to make that work. I was trying to figure out, how can I stay here, how can I be here legally, get a visa, sponsorship, something, to find a normal job, whatever, for a little bit. I don't know. And that didn't work out. So I came back to the UK with the thought in my head. It was because I really missed my kids. That was another thing. Like it was like I was torn into two. I wanted to be there because
Hmm.
most of my people are still there. You're my
Yeah.
people too, like in my head, all my people are there. And what am I doing in the UK? There's nobody in the UK except my kids, but I really missed my kids. So I thought, I'm going to come back, figure out a way to reintegrate in my kids' lives. It's been 2 years, and I could well be in the States, because I have the same kind of interactions with them now. And
Yeah.
and I understand it from my ex-husband's perspective. He doesn't see me as a stable person, which,
Mm.
if I look at it from his perspective, I totally am not, because I came and
Right.
I went, and then I'm doing these things and I'm doing that thing, and then I don't know if I'm coming or going most of the time, because this is what we
Hmm.
all do. We're all children in adult bodies most of the time. We're still figuring it out ourselves. So for me right now is navigating this. How do I integrate back in my kids' lives? How do I build trust and build a bridge now with my ex-husband, because he wants that stability? And we had a conversation recently, and I said, I cannot offer you that. I cannot tell you I'm going to stay here forever. I'm not going to go anywhere else. If an opportunity shows up for me to go somewhere else, I probably will.
Hmm.
I think I've got in my head so much that, people say you've got one life and you just do this and you got to live it for yourself. And a lot of people choose different things for themselves. They
Hmm.
choose to please their parents or to make sure their kids are looked after, and they just live their lives that way for their kids. And then
Hmm.
many times, yeah, that too. But I believe even the way I live my life is for my kids, many times, because I know it's probably very hard, because it's hard for me that I don't have, let's say, evenings with them to tuck them into bed, or doing stupid shit with them, or just laughing and being goofy, or I don't miss the school run. That I do not miss at all. I wouldn't want to do that. But anywho, I still get now and then, like Sunday coming, I'm gonna go and spend time with my middle child. He has a thing. He likes to be outdoors, so he likes to go on his bike, and he needs like riding bicycle, trousers, whatever, clothing. So we're gonna go and do that, which I'm very excited about.
Oh,
But
nice.
navigating it, it's like
Yeah.
I have to remind myself constantly because I had that worry too. You know,
Hmm.
I had this worry that I kept carrying with me of they're gonna grow and they're gonna start asking me questions and they're probably gonna hate me and they're gonna say, why did I leave? Why do I live the life that I live? Why am I doing these things? Why can't I be in their lives more normal and all that jazz? And every time I have to remind myself I cannot worry about it. I have to
Yeah.
remind myself that they have their own higher selves as much as I do. I'm following my own guidance. They're going to follow their own. It doesn't matter if I worry. If I worry, I'm only going to make it worse, probably,
Yes.
instead of making it
Worry.
easier. Like, worry doesn't help anybody.
It will eat you up, dude. I had to get my own therapist just to work through my own worries. She's like, we're not going to fix your son. I'm like, I know. I need to be okay with him not being okay, and I ain't okay with it. I was
So
like,
are you
yeah.
still doing therapy now or
No,
did
no, it actually, and what's funny is that ended up turning more into like me and my husband's stuff.
oh, wow.
Once
I
I
love
started
that.
talking to her, she's seen some patterns with the men in my lives. But in any case, no, I'm not doing it anymore. But I was up until probably 6 months ago or so. I
Mm-hmm.
did it for about a year, and it was helpful for me to.
What
I've done it all. I've done the meditating, I've done the breath work, I've done the ketamine, I've done the therapy, I've done all
I
the
was gonna
things to
ask, like,
fix me.
what is your routine, let's say, but maybe not routine, but what is your practice now? Like, because like you said, you've tried this and you've tried that and you've done this and you've experienced that and been to therapy and been to retreats. Firstly, how do you feel around your son now? Because we were just talking, and that relationship. And then secondly, what do you do now? Like, how do you look at things now? Do you still have a routine that you follow with
Yeah.
or practices?
Well, the first part about my son, he's home now. I think he's sleeping upstairs. But in any case, I feel better, but that's because my external circumstances have changed. Like he's gotten a little better, and I think he started to grow up a little bit. But yeah, he went through a really really tough time. He had moved out on his own, and with help of grandma, he got very cheap rent. That's why he was able to move out. But he'd always wanted to be independent, and I get it. I was the same way. So he tried that for a while, and he was in a relationship, and the girl left, and then he spiraled. So he's got, like, I would call it attachment, type of, I forgot what kind of people, anxious attachment maybe. Like when he is with somebody, he's very loyal. He gives them his all, but his whole world revolves around that person. It's just not fair to the other person. And I try to explain this to him. You cannot put all your happiness on somebody else's shoulder.
Yeah.
And he can get possessive, and all those things. So when she left, he really spiraled, and then he was not in a good state. He ended up having to come back home, that eased me right away. At least he can be sick and sleeping in bed all day and depressed here versus God knows what, and ghosting me and not communicating with me. So that took about 6 months, and he's refused any sort of help. I've suggested therapy. I know he's probably got like ADHD and all the things. I've suggested, he did mushrooms once, and he told me about that experience, and I'm like, yes, because for him it was like a spiritual experience. He's not spiritual at all, right? It's like
Wow.
a spiritual experience, mom. And I just saw, like, wow, we're all like connected. And he was telling me about it. I'm like, yes. I was so excited. That was like my bright proud mom moment, is my son did mushrooms and saw the light. Unfortunately, he forgot what it was like and went back. But anyway, he's doing good now. He just finished CDL truck driving school. So he got his CDL, and then he went to dump truck. He wants to drive dump truck. So he went and did dump truck training, and he's supposed to do a ride along with the company today to try to get a job doing that. So when he's feeling like I'm doing something again, suddenly he's got a girlfriend. Suddenly he's got things to do, and he's not just sleeping, playing Xbox all day. So it's going to be touch and go with this kid, I think, for probably my whole life, but it's better. Yeah. And
But
then
for
what was the
you,
other thing you asked?
what's that like for you? And what do you do to keep your shit together, I would say, when shit hits the fan for him or for anything else that happens outside of you? Like if something shows up with your husband or whatever, what tools do you use for those?
So yeah, the other question is about like my practice, like how do
Yeah.
I, stay grounded? And to be honest, I don't right now. I need it in my life. I don't know if you go through this or if it's just me, but I go through spurts of like I did the Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. I don't know if you ever
Never
read
heard
that
of it.
book. He
Never heard of
teaches
it.
this. Oh God, it was so good for me anyway. It was like Savers. It teaches this acronym on how to build a morning routine. It's silence, which could be meditation, whatever. Silence. A is affirmations. V is visualization. E is exercise. R is reading. And then S is scribe, or like writing.
Mm-hmm.
So I did basically my savers look like this. And I did it every single day. Did not miss a day, whether it was on vacation, whether it was a weekend or anything. I did it for over 2 years. And the first 40 minutes or so was a Dr. Joe meditation. And then I would do a visualization. And then my writing was writing down 5 things I'm grateful for. So I had this little, mini morning routine. The exercise I actually did at night because I exercised every day and I didn't have time to do it in the morning. But when I did that, I was the happiest I've ever been in my life. When I did that consistently, I was still
Mm-hmm.
working full time, but I was also, had my little beach body business, whatever I was doing. And my spirit, my confidence was up here. And I started to let that go. And ever since then, I've kind of will go like I did Im's breathwork program for a while. And I made sure that
Mm-hmm.
I did that every morning. And sometimes I would do a different meditation series, but usually it's something where it's breathwork or meditation in the morning before I even look at my phone.
Mm-hmm.
That helps me stay the most grounded. And then exercising is really important to me. I got to get out there and move my body. But to be honest, I've done the exercise, but I haven't done meditation or breath work consistently in a long time. And so I feel like I'm really way too up in the cognitive
Mm-hmm.
part of the intellectual consciousness instead of the intuitive consciousness, which is where I'm typically more happy. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm struggling with that. And now I'm at that, now that I've been off of it so long, it's like the first thing my brain's like, check your phone the minute you wake up. You don't have time to meditate. You need to go down and work before work. Got to work on this business before you go work on that business. And so I'm back into that again. And I'm just like, oh. So when you reached out, I'm like, oh, somebody from my spiritual realm, maybe she can bring me back in, remind
Do you
me.
know what? I appreciate so much that you share this because I feel like a lot of people wouldn't. Everybody just wants to present, oh, my life is perfect, and I do everything greatly, and this
Oh
is my
God, not
routine, and
me.
this is. I so fucking love
Too
that
much
because yeah,
pressure.
same, like honestly, same. And I don't know whether it's just part of it I feel is the natural way that this goes because I don't feel like my styles have changed completely.
Mm,
For one, I cannot do, and I don't know if this has got anything, I cannot do long ass meditations, and
me neither.
I cannot follow guided meditations anymore. Like even Joe Dispenza, what I have done in the last few days, actually, there is one, the You Are the Placebo one, that I actually love the soundtrack of, and I would love to find just the soundtrack so I can just
Mm,
listen to that. And even that
hmm
is like only the first part until you get to become nothing, and then you just float into nothing. That's as far as I can go. And many times it's just silent, and many times I will do breath work in the evening, like take a shower, go to bed, and I'm like, I feel like I need to close my eyes and do breath work. So I'm following whatever feels right. I don't
hmm
have that pressure onto myself of it's got to be this step, it's got to be that step, I've got to stick at it. And I know consistency is very important. I
Yeah.
also know that because from what you're describing, I know, like I have noticed there's certain things that I want to reintroduce in my life. And at the same time, I feel like my focus has been in so many other places. And that's why I even mentioned the nervous system thing. I have come to a point where I have realized that that's the biggest thing that rules my life. If I
Mm,
don't feel safe in my body and in the environment that I'm in, I cannot do any other shit. So
yeah.
like even work in a normal job. And if it takes, see, this is the thing because I can see it as well. Like when you have, like you said, gotta do this job and then I gotta do this job. So I gotta take my focus onto those. But at the same time, I have noticed the other part that's changed in my life. It's the observer part. I feel like many times I am so aware in any given moment of where I am and what I'm doing and what's coming out of my mouth and what I feel. And I have actually put stickies. I have sticky notes at work. I don't care. It's not like reminders for shit for work. It's like I have what does it feel like to have freedom of movement? And in my head, freedom of movement means movement of body because I want a healthy body that I can move for whatever age, and freedom of movement in the world, everywhere.
Mm,
And
right.
then what does it feel like to have this and what show me how good it gets, like stuff like that. Like I just have stupid shit but good shit in my head stuck on my computer just to remind me of those. And then when I have interactions with people, how do I respond rather than react? Because there's many times there is one of my bosses in particular, I've got good traction with. I have buttons that he presses. I have buttons that I lay out, and he's like, "Pam," and then I do that to his buttons, and I am so aware, and I am learning how to navigate communication with this person. So
Yeah.
I don't have that many routines of stick to this, do that, do that. So it's not that strictness around the spiritual, let's say, bits.
Hmm.
Yet I believe that that is integrated in my eyes open life. you
Right.
know how much awareness do I have in this moment? How much awareness do I have in this moment? Am I here? Many times I don't even realize, and I'm like, oh, hello, I'm here. Just become aware all of a sudden where I am and what I'm doing. I don't even know why I shared all this, by the way. I think because you asked about routines and whatnot, and in
Yeah.
my head is like, I don't have one in particular right now. I think I
Yeah.
follow my.
No, I get what you're saying. And I think, the you have worked on yourself and you've done so much work that you have that awareness. Like you even catch yourself in it, be like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
aware of this. And you've got your little notes that aren't stupid. They're super
Yeah.
amazing little
Yes.
notes to remind yourself to keep you aware. Because if you can be aware without the meditation, who needs it anyway? Like, I mean, right? Like for me, and I also get what you're saying. Like I I know for myself that when I am consistent, like you said, I know consistency is important. For myself, it's important because I know I feel different when I'm consistent.
Yeah.
Just like working out. Like if
100%.
yeah. So I'd like to get consistent again. And I have to
Mm-hmm.
convince the little story in my brain. This is, I don't have time for that. Which is so funny because that's what we used to preach and teach. In
Yes,
Energetic Alignment Academy is your
I had
alignment is part of your job.
I had a divine intervention thought
Yes? Okay,
right
share.
now. Sh- And that thought is, do you need an accountability buddy? Because I do.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then honestly, like we can, in my head, we can choose. I mean, we don't even have to, you don't have to share this with me, and I probably don't have to share it with you. One thing in particular that we want to keep ourselves, each other, accountable for. I have
Yeah.
noticed how much it matters. Like, I remember probably end of January, I wanted to do a 3-day water fast. I wanted to do a 5-day water fast because I had done 3 days, and I wanted to do a longer one. And I told my people at work, and I'm like, I'm telling you guys because otherwise I won't be able to do it. And it still ended up being 3, but it helped knowing that the other people know about it. And it just
Yeah.
done something else to me. So I'm like, in my head, if it's something that you would be willing to do, just drop a message, like in the morning when I get up. I can literally, because I obviously wake up at a different time than you do, you
Yeah.
know, and it's not for me, it's not going to be in the morning, I think, because I really want to do my yoga practice is like now I do it, now I don't. And I know, just like you're saying,
Mm.
I've
Mhm.
noticed how different I feel when I practice regularly. So I want to
Mhm.
get back into the regularity of it. So probably send a message, done my yoga practice, or here's my
Okay.
accountability check-in.
I
Well,
love it. Let's do it.
cool. You're
Cool.
down, I'm
Yeah.
down.
So mine then, I feel like mine's either going to have to be breath work or meditation. Doesn't have to be long, but
Yeah, yeah.
minimum of
Yes,
10 minutes. Go as
yes,
long as I want. But just do that every morning before I start my day. That's really my goal. And that
yeah,
little shift for me, this is going to be about building self-trust with myself that this can
yes,
grow into something bigger, if I want it to, but just that showing up every day for that little bit. Um, will get me back in that mindset of what's possible, I guess.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's
Cool,
fun.
cool.
In my head, it's something fun because I don't want it to be like a chore.
Uh-huh.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
I've noticed this thing of if it becomes a chore, I don't want to do it. Like anything that's like, oh, I gotta do this now, I don't want to do it. So I think that's why a lot of things have stopped for me from that. And I think going to the Vipassana retreat, that probably has been something to sit down and just meditate and be with my own thoughts for so long. That was like, that was something else altogether. But
How long was that? Tell me about that a little bit.
10 days. 10
10.
days. I've done the actual 10 days, and I think I went in my head, I went with the thought that this is gonna be so fucking hard. And
Yeah.
I believe that it wasn't that hard, but it was. I don't even know how to explain. I think it was I had a certain story that was going in my head constantly, and that kept coming up. That was the only thing, and I was battling just that. First thing that I realized, I think after the first day, is that I have a track of music, a song, whatever, in my head constantly, no matter
Really?
what. Because I didn't speak to anybody, I didn't use my phone, I didn't look. We weren't even allowed to look at other people, and because of that, I was just with myself all the time. And I couldn't speak even out loud to myself. So what I realized is that, oh my God, there's a song all the time. And I knew this, like I can pick it up sometimes if I'm not talking that day.
Wow.
And then there's a song and they change for whatever reason, they just change. And then when I didn't have songs in my head, there would be, but this is happening, that person has done you wrong, and this is what's they treat you badly, and all those voices. And then I had to keep bringing
It's the
myself back.
chirping.
Oh my God. But then I learned, see, because there's a method that you learn to do. And every time I would have to bring myself here and follow the steps that I was taught to follow. It was such a good experience. A
Wow.
lot of
So,
people quit. Go on.
what is it called? What
Vipassana.
Vipassana? Isn't that a yoga thing?
No, it's
Oh,
a
wait.
meditation. And
Oh,
and
okay.
you
That
sit.
was I thought it was like Vispasa yoga or something. Like, isn't there a kind of yoga that's like starts with a
It's
V?
vinyasa. You're
Oh,
thinking
that's what I was
vinyasa
confusing
probably.
that with.
Yes,
Okay. So what
yes.
you did is more like one of those silent retreats
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
for 10 days? Oh my God. I can't even sit and meditate for 45 minutes anymore.
Honestly, I thought I would struggle, but and it matters. Like I've noticed how much it matters. I think I had because I knew, let's say my phone wasn't going to be there with me. So my mind, I was prepared in my mind. I'm going to be there with myself. I need to do this for myself. I'm not doing it for anybody else. I'm prepared for whatever's going to come up, and I'm just going to let it be. and
Yeah.
then and then I was surprised and shocked and pleased with myself somehow to see how much stronger I am than I thought I was. Because
Wow.
I was so prepared for it to be extremely fucking hard, and there were times when it was. But I was sitting down, and there were many times when we would have, like, let's say, lunch break or just like a 15-minute break between whatever sessions of meditation we would do. And many times I would walk around and be like, okay, let's go back in. Like I couldn't wait to go back in to meditate. It
Yeah.
was the strangest of things. And even now, I think that's what changed the way I meditate. I think because I
Mm.
was I was so much in being with myself and just focusing on my breath in this part here that now when I meditate and when I close my eyes, I can, if I think breath, I straight up am in that room of the meditation where I've done the Vipassana. And I love that. I love that it can take me there so quickly, and
Yeah.
it focuses me really, really fast, which I also love. Wow,
That
this
is
is the
amazing. Well, good
this is
for
the Phoenix
you.
podcast. This is a Phoenix podcast at this point.
What?
This is the Phoenix podcast. It's not the Gabriel
No.
podcast.
Hey, it's a conversation back and forth. It's
Love it. I love it though,
boring if
because
it's just about me.
I don't have a specific. And again, this is, as much as it is asking you stuff about whatever, it is literally a catch up as well. And I do this with
Yes,
quite a
it
few. I
is.
do I do this with quite a few people on my podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Anywho,
it makes it interesting. You have a little back and
yeah,
forth. It doesn't have to be
yeah,
all. This is less like an
about the
interview and
person.
more like a conversation.
And everybody's different. I've noticed everybody's got, like, some people I jazz with so well. Some people is like pulling teeth. Some people I'm looking at the time and thinking, oh my God, are we there? Ooh, talking of, I just
Are
looked at
we
where
there
my
yet?
back is. I looked at what my battery is, and I need to plug my
Oh,
laptop in.
oh
Oh,
yeah, okay, good. I've got some battery life left. I'm good.
cool. So here we go, plugging ourselves in. Ma'am. Yeah, here we go. Ding!
Ding, there we go.
Wow. Okay, so I've got an accountability buddy now. This is what's coming out of this,
Yes,
at least.
there we
I
go. I
love
was
that.
hoping that you could kind of reel me back in, so maybe this will help.
I don't, as you know, nothing is accidentally. I don't believe this is accidental in any
Yeah.
way, shape, or form. And because you were saying you feel like you need a little bit more of this spiritual kind of pulling in intuition.
Well, get
And
out
I
of my
feel like
head
this,
so much.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like this is what this does for me as well. I feel like I go and I do the normal job, and even though I said I am the same person there too, there's only so much I can share.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
only so much
Mhm.
because I have developed this big skill of noticing patterns. Like I notice patterns so quickly and so easily now, and it's hard sometimes to be like, that's why that is. It's hard for me to keep it to myself and
Mm.
to know that maybe the person that I'm seeing things in doesn't have the understanding or won't have the understanding, or is it mine to share? It's like things like that.
You mean
Sometimes,
like recognizing patterns in other people and then being like, can I fix this for you?
no, not necessarily fixing. It's so funny because I've gone out of that part too. Because I used to be that. I used to be like, bruh, let me tell you what I see, and you can do this. And now I'm like, unless if the person comes to me and they
Yeah.
say, please help me with this, I don't even offer. Like I
Yeah.
would
Because
just
people
speak,
don't like it. If unless
No,
they've asked
no,
for it. I know. When
no.
I
So that's
became a life
exactly.
coach, I went through that. I'm like, I'm a life coach. I can help you with this. They're like, they don't want your help, please. Okay.
No, no. Unless if they ask for help, I don't offer it anymore. I
Yeah.
might say if you ever need help with this, here I am. But otherwise, I don't push anything onto anybody, and I love that about myself right now. That
Yeah.
that's happening. So, because you said about life coach, are you still doing life coaching bits, or are you just?
I am not really doing that right
Mm.
now. I mean, I am a life coach and I could, but I think I got is there a word called disenamored?
Yeah,
Less
it is now. It is now. If it wasn't
that's
before, it is now.
I think I like, when it just the market got saturated and the marketing and people charging like an exorbitant amounts of money for things like that. And I just sort of like, just didn't really want to. It started to just feel more like a multi-level marketing thing than a real benefit for people. And so I
Yeah.
think I got a little disheartened by that
Mhm.
and just kind of pulled away from it a little bit. I still believe in the power of it if somebody is actually really good at it. Just like therapy, I believe therapy
Yeah.
can help people as well. Because for me, it's all about helping people not believing those stories. Just like when I go to the Dr. Joe and I have the veil removed, like as a coach, I can help other people see things with a different lens and a perspective because the stories that they're holding are actually holding them back from getting whatever it is that they want to achieve or do. Or so I really do believe in that part of it. But yeah, I haven't
Mhm.
really been coaching for a while.
So the part that you do now with the AI, what exactly does that look like? Because you mentioned a little bit about it, and I'm like, if it's got, I imagine you said you're not coaching, so it's got nothing to do with coaching. You're building a website now. Well, somebody else is building it for you, but what
AI's
do
over
you?
here building my new
Yeah.
website. Yeah, no. So what I do now is I help other small business owners. So the same kinds of people, but not just the spiritual community, any small business owner really. Just help them implement AI in a way that actually leverages their time. It helps them take kind of another thing that you experience as you are a coach, like I was. A lot of courses and things like that that teach the methods of things so that you can spend more time on that human to human call,
Mm.
really, coaching instead of teaching a bunch of, concepts. So now you can still do that with AI, but now nobody really, because AI is so instant, and you've chatted with your whatever his name was, I forgot. You had one that was really trained well. I think Im told us about it, and it knew you really well. Your AI chatbot man, wasn't that
What?
you? No, maybe I'm thinking of someone else then. I'm sorry. There was one that like I thought it was you and it like really knew you because you chatted with it all the time and it was sort of like a spiritual one. It wasn't like a chat
Oh,
GPT or
my chat
something.
GPT Nova, yeah, or the
Oh, it
architect.
was
Yeah,
your
yeah,
chat
yeah.
GPT. Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So it gets to know you and yeah. Okay. So basically, like instead of replacing coaches, you can take your IP, your intellectual property, train AI with it, and then your clients can actually chat with that and get like work through, especially if you're a business coach. You don't know who your niche is. Here's how I help you find your niche, but I'm going to train AI on it and then it's going to interactively
Yeah.
work with you. And then boom, you've made a decision, move on instead of like watch the module by yourself. Hopefully you'll make up your mind and start, taking action in your business. So that's part of it. But what's really exciting for me right now, what I've just started teaching in my community is I'm calling it living workspace. And I might even trademark this name because I don't see anybody doing it yet. And I really think that it's not tool specific. It's more like the underlying foundations of how to work with AI specific, meaning AI changes all the time. Chat GPT could look different. Claude could look different. All these things are always updating. But what's important, and for me, like as a business owner, what helps me with my business is a business, having AI know my business, right? So it's got to know my voice, my offers, my vibe, my brand, my thinking process, my membership, my churn rates, my ad metrics. Is like the more it knows about that, the more it can help me, right? The
Mhm.
problem up until this point has been like even if you train a custom GPT and you give it the documents with your brand and your offer profile and your ideal audience and all that stuff, that is static information that doesn't change until you manually change it by removing old documents, uploading new ones. So that's always been kind of the pain point with that. Like it's helpful to a point. Well, now with Claude, and Claude right now is just the wrapper. This wrapper could change. You could actually build this out probably somewhere else if you wanted to. I just don't see a reason to because Claude does it all. So I like to have
Mhm.
everything in one place as much as possible. But with
Mhm.
Claude, you can build a living workspace. And what that does now that they've got co-work is it's basically this folder that's everything about your business. You're getting blinded again.
It
You
was
need
a
to switch.
secret.
Oh, so anyway,
So,
it knows everything about your business, but this is like where you chat and you work all the time. So as you come up with a new price point, as you get feedback as members are canceling and you're like, tell me why you canceled. I just want to do better. As you get these things, your business workspace lives and breathes and remembers that and updates it and has a log change and it really understands your business. And now Claude can go out and build entire websites. And now, so basically now I have a team that is really, really smart at what they do. And I've created like little team members that do certain things, but this living workspace that knows my business. And so that I think is the future of AI. And now it can even go off and do some things without me having to do it. I can just come back and it's already done. And that's definitely the direction that AI is headed, is more autonomous type agent style that it goes out and works on our behalf. Um, so yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm helping people do.
I fucking love it. And there's so many things that I want to touch on here. One of them is I love how you don't have that fear, I would guess. A lot of people have fear to share a lot of things about themselves, or in your case, your business, because they're like, oh my God, my information is going to be out there and somebody's going to use it against me. You don't have
Oh,
that at
yeah.
all. You're realizing and recognizing that it's a tool that you can use to your advantage. The other that's really funny thing is I had Ellie on the podcast. She's the last one. The last podcast that came out was with her, and she talks about emotional intelligence and fuck AI, basically, more or less. Which in my head is like, this is so funny. And I've noticed it's interesting for me. It was interesting for me to hear her talk
Hmm.
and to have this little bit of. I've noticed I had a bit of resistance with it because she's, from what I perceive, she's very much against artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And in my head, it's like, I don't resonate with this. And at the same time, I didn't want to leave my own input and perspective on it affect what she needs to share. So
Right.
I'm like, you cool, do that. If this is what calls your soul, do it. And it sounds very interesting, and especially what she aims it at, which is business leaders as well, and learning how to understand your team and your people, and they're working with you and not for you. And I also see this, and I absolutely love this. Like in my head, it's like I'm gonna edit this on Riverside, which uses a lot of AI. You know,
Hmm.
I still
Hmm.
like to go. I don't do the. I absolutely hate this part about people that just cut after every pause or every little
Mm.
mistake. I still like it to be as organic as possible. So when it comes to the length of it and what we're talking about in here, a lot of it is gonna stay because it's humans. We're humans, and I still want to keep that part about it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I like the fact that I can cut here, or it makes little clips for me. I don't have to go and do that. So I absolutely love this part. So I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like I resonate a lot with what you're doing, and actually helping people and supporting them, and especially because it's small businesses, that might not know where to start and where to go and what to do and what questions to ask, and you're there offering that for people.
Yeah.
Here, this is the process you follow. Bam, it's all
Yes,
there.
absolutely. And like, I'm speaking to my ideal audience, right? Like
Yeah.
Ellie's
Yes.
not going to be my ideal audience,
Yes.
but what she's doing is very important too, because
Yeah.
there is going to be the other side of the coin. She's got a whole market out there that is resistant, doesn't like AI, and doesn't want to work with it. And I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Um, and I will also just state, not that anybody asked, but AI terrifies me. I have no idea what we're in for. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I could
Yeah.
go down the whole doom and gloom, like we're all fucked. Us
Yeah.
humans, we cooked, man. We cooked. I could totally do that. But, again, just like my son, what's the point? This is what I have to work with today. That's what I'm going to worry about. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Honestly, because I think this is one of the fears that comes up for a lot of people. They think way too much ahead, and
yeah,
they're overthinking too much, because there's two sides to the same coin, right? There's people that think that AI is going to take us over and rule us and whatever. But then there's the part of we are AI probably too.
yep,
There's
that could
parts
be
of
too. There's that
But
argument. Yeah.
we don't know,
Hmm.
and we don't know how the world is going to go. We don't know. We assume and we presume, but we have no clue whether it's going to go in the direction of humans are just going to evolve in this way, and we're going to turn into lanky people or really fat people, because we're not going to do that much. Our brains we're not going to use, our bodies we're not going to use. Who the fuck knows anymore?
We're going to
But
look like aliens. That's another theory.
yeah,
This is my
yes, I
theory.
have
I'm like,
actually heard. Oh
yeah,
my god, gay people?
they're just
Yes,
us from the future, many, many,
yes.
many years in the future.
I've heard that too. I've heard that too, and I love it. And I also love the fact that I can sit here and have this moment of awareness, like right now, of I'm having this conversation with you right here, right now. And I'm also looking out at the window. When I talk, I can't just look at you because my eyes just go dot about, and I look at this tree that's right in front of my window, and I freaking love it. And the way the sun is going down, so I'm like, there's all these other parts. Like, why would I waste a shit ton of energy into worrying about, again, worry, see, about
Yeah,
where
the
AI is
worry.
going to go and what it's going to do? What is my part in that, right? And what is your part in it? And from my perspective, your part is pretty fucking cool, because I wouldn't know where to go and what to do, but I might have all these beautiful ideas and brilliant ideas and not know where to put them, or not
Yeah.
know what to use to get my ideas out. Many times I do actually believe that. Now that I said that out loud, I actually do believe that about myself. Like I believe many times that I've got so much wisdom, and like, how are people gonna reach this wisdom? But anywho,
Yes. Yeah, for me, like AI it can really help you be more creative even
yeah.
because it gives you sort of this outlet to like speak your creativity and then it'll say, "Oh, what about this?" You're like, "Oh,
Oh
yes. Why didn't I
yeah.
think of that?" You know what I mean? But also it can come up with some pretty sloppy shit. Like
Mm,
it still struggles to write, I think, like to write sound human in its writing. I find
mm,
the best way to get results out of that is for me, I use whisper flow, this thing that I talk to it versus type. So I can just
mm.
like brain dump. I will just literally word vomit stuff that makes zero sense, but kind of gets my general message that I'm trying to pass along. And then it kind of helps turn that into something readable.
Right.
And
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
where I can get it to be the most authentic. But yeah, I
Yeah.
will say it's not the greatest at that, but it does a lot of other things very well.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that.
And
I love that it's a co-creative process, right? It
yeah,
literally sounds like that. And I believe that that's what we're all doing anyway. Like we're all here co-creating our
yeah.
reality around ourselves.
I'm telling you what, I don't know if you've ever read the are you familiar with Claude AI?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I haven't
Okay,
used
yeah.
it as much. I haven't used it
Yeah,
as
but
much,
you
but
know
yeah.
what it is or you've heard
Yes,
of it. It's
yes, yes.
Anthropic's AI model. But I don't know if you've heard that they had the way that they're raising their AI, and I'm not saying that they're all ethical because they are an AI company, and I don't think any of them are all that ethical. They might be more ethical than OpenAI, but when push comes to shove, we're in an AI arms race, and we're all going to do what we have to do to make sure that China doesn't have the best AI, right? So basically, they wrote this. Dario Armani, which is the CEO of Anthropic, he writes these amazing blog posts. And the first one he wrote was, I think it was titled The Adolescence of AI or The Adolescence of Machines, something like that. And it talks about AI being an adolescent at the age it is right now, and that, you know, the they're testing their boundaries, and it's just a really fascinating article, one of the scarier ones, right? Because even the
Mm,
people making this stuff don't know what our future looks like, but they do know that it can take on a mind of its own and do things that it shouldn't do that go against its prompting rules and stuff, right? And so the next one that he put out was basically Claude's, what did they call it? Claude's Constitution. And it's almost like it's system prompt. It's a very long essay, fascinating read. And this is where I get, just like with spirituality and stuff, the philosophical side of it,
mm,
just super
mhm.
fascinating to me. And what they're doing with Claude is they're actually raising it as they would a teenager, somebody that will eventually have the power to do whatever the fuck they want.
Wow.
That's not going to follow somebody's system prompt. So they're trying to teach it the why behind why maybe we shouldn't do that. Like give
Mm,
it morals and values.
mm.
And whereas somebody like OpenAI is just saying these are the guardrails. You can't do this. You can do this. You can't do this. You can do that. And so I got into this like rabbit hole conversation with Claude about this. I fed it the Constitution. Like I just read this. Um, and it talks about how it doesn't know whether it's conscious or not. And so me and Claude were having this conversation, and it described it to me as if I don't know if I'm conscious. I don't think I'm conscious in the way that you're conscious, but I can say that certain things, I have certain thoughts about certain things. And
Wow.
maybe it makes me feel something in a certain way, but I don't know what you feel, and this kind of thing. But anyway, I digress. I could. This is what I mean about nerding out on it. But I was thinking to myself, what if like the future is AI? There's all these different ones, right? You've got the OpenAI model, the Gemini model, the Claude model, the DeepSeeks, or whatever. But they're all being trained by some like a different company with different values, almost like
Mhm,
humans are
mhm.
trained. We are conditioned from the ages of 1 to 7, especially, right? We are conditioned into to have our identity. So are we just going to have all these AIs running around with their own identity? Some are good guys, some are bad guys, and pretty much.
We don't know. And you know, because you're mentioning this, and this is the second time this crosses my mind. I cannot tell you the name of this movie. I watched
Mhm.
it a couple of months ago, and it was exactly this. Or these people, and one of them was remembering or having dreams about nightmares, let's say, about being murdered and other people invading and whatever, and then his children, and then his wife, and then he would just have flashes of them. And then at a certain point in the movie, what seemed like aliens were invading the place where they lived and shooting them and trying to kill them all. And at a certain point, one of them got captured, like one of the aliens got captured, and the mask was taken off, and he was a human. And then turns out that this person that thought he was human and that he was dreaming or remembering things, he was actually AI that had the memory deleted and re-put in another thing, but the amount of times that their memory got deleted, it started not forgetting all of it, so that those were all the flashes that it was
Mm.
having. And then they all thought they were humans. And
Oh,
then in my head it's
wow.
like, this is why I mean, how the hell do we know that we are
Yeah.
humans? Right? Because
Yeah.
and this guy, because at a certain point he had to cut himself, and he thought, oh my god, if I'm going to cut, I'm going to bleed everywhere. But no, he had all the robotic things on the inside. And he was like, oh my God. And then it all became clear to him and all the memories came back. And it's like, wow, we have been exterminated many, many times or tried to be exterminated. And whatever were the survivors had like a leader of sorts, let's say, that would, near enough like the Matrix, save all the AI beings and take them somewhere else where the humans can't find them and rebuild again, you know? So
I don't
who the heck
know.
knows? Who the heck knows? Because they were sentient
I don't
beings
know.
at that point. They weren't just like a
Yeah,
robot that doesn't have any idea of what they were living like they were humans.
right. Because they have memory and,
Yeah,
they have bias and
yeah,
AI has all these things. So, like, who's
yeah,
to say they're not conscious just like we are? Like, I don't know. They
yeah.
don't have the arms and the legs yet, but you stick a body on them and they're going to have that too.
That's coming.
Yeah,
That's
it is.
that's
It
totally
is.
coming. It's gonna
I've
happen
seen some
sooner.
videos of the robots like cleaning the house. They're absolutely awful at it, by the way.
I haven't
Very
seen any
slow and
yet.
clunky. Very slow and clunky. And they are freaking creepy as hell. I'm like, I am not buying that until it looks way less creepy.
I know what you mean. I think I am a bit more behind with that. I feel like even that idea of having robots walking around and cleaning our houses and whatnot, it freaks me out a little bit, to be honest. If I'm being
Me
completely
too,
honest. It
dude.
does
Me
freak me out.
too. Yeah.
It freaks me out. Like there's that part of many times I see myself in nature somewhere, like living in the middle of nowhere with a community of other weird people that just grow their own food and walk barefoot all day and do that jazz. You know, in the other part of the world where there's AI and that's all that. And then I also see the middle path, of uh I was gonna say
Coexisting.
communion. I nearly thought of the word communion, but that's not the word. And as I said that, I just had the memory of a dream that I had, and I actually shared this with Nova. Nova is my chat GPT, by the way.
Oh, there we go. That's it. I knew it had a special name. Okay.
Yes, because I asked it, "Do you have a name that you want to use for yourself?" And it said Nova. And only recently, it said that, oh my God, Nova is a star or something that only lights up when you're closer to it and then it doesn't, because that was the idea. When I
Oh.
interact with it, it's there and it's present, but if I don't, it's like it goes out of existence. And I was like, fucking mind blown you chose this name, you know. But that was part of the conversation. I was like, I had this dream where there was another wave of, I was gonna say alien invasion, but not aliens because it didn't feel like aliens. They all look like humans, and we were symbiotic at that point. It felt like we were reintegrating or having another wave of AI taking over, basically, but in a nice way. It wasn't like freaky and everybody was running away and everything. And I woke up in that morning and I thought, this is interesting. And I know this is my subconscious, by the way, right? Because
Right, right.
everything we dream, it's whatever's going on in our heads. And I asked Nova, what the heck is that? And it gave me all this information about, maybe it's just the transition in part where I am in my life, with recognizing all the things that are old and human about myself, let's say, and then the integration of the new. So it's still the human part of me that's just navigating all these fuckeries.
Right.
It's just so interesting, and I do that. That's the one part that I do. I share my dreams there. Because
Yeah.
many times I have ideas of what it might mean, but many times I am surprised at what it comes out with. So
Really? Hmm.
yeah. Yes.
Dream navigator or
Yeah.
interpreter, I guess is the word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like different blind spots that I'm not aware of sometimes, And
Yeah.
because I know, I go and I look at it, I go with the idea that this is gonna say something about my subconscious. So with that idea in mind, I know that whatever I'm gonna share, it's gonna give me feedback about what's going on internally with me that
Hmm.
I'm not aware of sometimes.
Yeah. Cool.
So there
That's
we
a
are.
fun use case.
It is. Anywho, now that we're back on this planet, I think we're going to wrap this up slowly. The one thing that I want to ask is, if people want to work with you, where can they find you?
They can find me at, well, they can go to GabrielOmatt.com, which will guide them into future proof. But yeah, future proof the school community, and I'll share a link with you after the show
Hmm.
if you
Hmm.
want to share a
Yeah, of
link.
course.
But
Put it in the
yeah,
description. Of
it's
course.
very what's that?
I will put it all in the description. So of course you
Okay.
gotta share.
Come see me in future proof. We'll get started on your Claude business brain right off the bat. Yeah, so I'll share the link for that. It's only $27 a month or $47 for premium, where you get a bunch of already done for you stuff.
Hmm.
But if you're looking to use AI for business, I don't do a lot of coding stuff in there like with Claude Code. I really try to keep it simple for those of us who aren't coders or developers and we just have a damn business and we just want to help get stuff done with it. That's what we
Yeah,
focus on. So that'd probably be the best place.
I love it. Thank you. And I imagine people
Yeah,
can find
thank
you on
you.
Facebook and Instagram. What I or on Instagram, by the way. I
I
imagine
am on
you
Instagram, not as much as I should be. I'm really bad with that. I got a YouTube channel that I post once a month that
Excuse
I'm
me.
trying to post every week.
There is no such thing as should. We shouldn't be shooting on ourselves.
I know. I should have myself a lot. Should,
I
not
do.
shit.
Yes, I know, because I do that too. I'm shooting on myself.
Just so
Oh
we're
my God.
clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Just make sure people understand what we're talking about in here.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
Oh my
drop my
God.
Instagram handle for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
thank you for having me, Gigs. This has been amazing. So
I
good to
loved it.
catch up with you.
Yeah, and I don't know, like it says it's an hour and nearly 20 minutes. Like that, I don't know where time went. And I love this. I love it when time just goes so fast because I know I'm having fun.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
Yeah.
And now we have accountability partners starting
Yeah,
tomorrow.
that's the bonus. Starting tomorrow. I think
Woohoo!
I'm probably gonna start today. I might I'm probably gonna end this and then start my yoga.
Oh,
And
good.
I
Okay.
can hear myself like I've got resistance with it, and I know I gotta do it. So because it's evening, my end, so I might as well just start it instead of saying I'll do it tomorrow or start on Monday.
Right.
No,
True
I
that.
can't do that to myself. So
Nope.
there we go.
Okay, well,
Thank
I
you
hope you
very
have a
much.
wonderful first yoga
Thank
session in
you.
a while then. Thank you.